Everybody here gonna be making a public comments?
Yes.
We will share.
Okay, yeah. Good. Nice to meet you. How are you doing, Michelle, right?
Nice to see you.
Good seeing you.
This is Amanda Whedon.
Okay.
Spain.
Hey, Diane.
For you.
Thank you, sir.
Is that something to me, Jolene would live there?
Yeah, so there'll be public comment, I assume. Or just watching. You know, so Catherine, I was gonna ask her if she could hear us. She wouldn't mind.
No, I'm a member of committee.
Oh, okay. Diane.
Michelle Roebuck.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Michelle.
Tim, right? Okay.
You must be Marcus.
Marcus.
Diane.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
You're in your handouts.
Okay, well,
There's the other room they prefer to use. And we're difficult room.
yeah, we usually have a lot more table, right?
Really proud of that.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Everybody
Unlocking
wants
the
the
door at the
Friday.
top. Well, unlocking the door at the top and then coming down. to
Oh,
get
yeah.
people in.
Yeah.
And so, luckily Serene is here today, so that can help. But usually I'm by myself. And so.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
We used to meet a long time.
Yeah, yeah. And is Ally coming to the meeting?
She had some illness and so
Oh.
she's hopefully zooming in.
Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, I would like to see that. I won't be able to see the Zoomers.
That's okay, it's all good, you're good.
Huh.
Let's see what I don't have here.
Catherine, this is Tim Carney.
Hello, thank you for letting me listen in. I'm with my sick daughter at home today, so I was going to just stay muted.
Okay, yeah, so you can hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just wanted someone to confirm that for us. Thank you. I'll mute you back. Yes, sorry. Althea, are you able to unmute? I made you a co-host, so you should be all set.
Yes, I'm here now.
Okay, great, thank you. We have 1, 2, 3. So Althea. This is being recorded. Everybody's aware.
We're, okay, at this point already?
Yeah, just so I can. So. The Home Education Advisory Council meeting is begun for all those participating. It is being recorded. And that does get shared out. We do get 9 right to know requests for that recording. We do share that under that law. First order of business is we will need to elect a new chair. April Villani has resigned, and so we'll need a motion to elect a chair. And then once that chair is elected, they will run the meeting. I can assist in, helping them run the meeting moving forward. The chair has to be elected from one of the home education nominated folks. And so it kind of limits based on who we have here, who that would be.
That's great news.
Yes. And so
Here's for you, yeah.
either
Does it have to, does it have to be one of
With you
the,
guys.
one of the in-person quorum, or can it be a member joining remotely?
yeah, it can be remote. Yeah, yeah,
So I'll make the motion to elect a new chair.
right.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
And then who's the new chair?
I don't know.
We'll
Oh.
see.
Yeah,
Based on the
qualifications,
who in the room presently is qualified to serve as chair.
It'd be yourself.
Yeah.
Marcus,
I am.
Ann,
And
and
Althea,
I
Althea.
know, yeah.
Althea. Has been on the committee, I actually don't know how many years.
Yes, he's been here one.
I've been on one.
This is my first meeting.
Same.
Welcome.
Relevant discussion has been that we have questions from the homeschooling community as to the qualifications of representatives that are nominated and what they are representing within the community. To HEAC. So that would be something that should be considered in the representative.
I'm not really sure I understand.
There have been concerns that not all representatives within the HEAC committee have been representing RSA 193A families,
Oh, okay.
Meaning that they are not home educators?
meaning that the community that they are representing is not comprised of 193A educators.
Oh, I see that perhaps it might be like.
Some
a
organizations
PFA family
combined.
Or something, I got it, I understand.
So if we look at.
Yeah.
Like this list here, and we. Just, let's just take Althea. Althea represents New Hampshire Homeschooling Coalition. So are you saying
No, she
that
would,
if their organization doesn't represent only 193A, that they should not be selected as chair?
I'm saying that as the statute is, that it would be a home educator representing home educating families in the state, that yes, it absolutely should be someone who's representing home educating families, yes. It should be a 193A compliant individual.
And how
Could you
would
please
we
speak a
be-
little bit louder? I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Sure.
Michelle Rohrabacher.
Okay, thank you.
Are you saying that there's a clear legal constraint involved? Or that this is just the sense we should have in selecting a chair?
The statute seems to indicate that it should be a legal constraint, correct?
Does anybody else have an opinion about that?
Which part of the statute are you referring to?
That it should be elected individual from a home educating, represented by a home educating organization within the state of New Hampshire.
So my question would be, is anything, are any of the people on this list and what their representative organization is, are any of those organizations not RSA 193A organizations that they're representing?
That's what
I
I'm
don't-
asking for disclosure to determine whether or not they are.
I
qualified
see.
for this
Disclosure.
position. Thank you.
so up to now, they have been.
Yeah.
These were the groups we've been working with across the state, so I'm not sure what's going on.
So now is the claim that the rule is your sponsoring organization must exclusively contain 193A families, or that it must include 193A families?
I'm saying, excuse me, I'm saying that the individual that's representing as chairperson of the committee
Right.
should be one who is representing exclusively 193A families.
Okay, do we know which organizations are combined organizations and which are exclusively 193A organizations?
That would be individual disclosure at this point.
So let's take CUHE. I'm a member of Catholics United for Home Education in New Hampshire. Is it possible for me to know that every single member of our organization is a home educator?
Do you support them in the capacity of anything other than 193A home education?
I'm a member. I am not the president of CUHE. What the president does for CUHE is not the same thing.
Okay, does Catholics United for Home Education represent 193A only, or do they represent all educational pathways?
I don't have their mission statement with me. My understanding is that they do. As the same for like GSHE. Even in,
No, correct.
in-
That's not correct.
no, I didn't say that you didn't. Your statement, even in your letter, you said, while we are representing RSA 193A. Clearly, we don't know minute by minute if someone switches to an EFA.
Right, but the purpose of the chairperson is to represent 193A.
Yes,
Christian educators, Christian home educators of New Hampshire and Southern Maine represents exclusively 193A home education. And as such,
Is
we
that your
allow,
group?
yes, that's fine, yes.
Okay, so let's
Um,
nominate
so-
you.
So,
I
so
think-
as such, we allow others to
Yeah.
participate within our group, but we
Uh-huh.
don't represent their needs in Concord. We represent exclusively 193A.
I think what is measurable is what programs and what activities does the organization engage in? So if you can say that the organization only engages in programs and activities related to 193A, then that seems like that's the best could be accomplished. Since membership, the membership of the organization are free to do what they like, as we say.
Right.
independent.
Right.
So I think it's fair to say that all of them are, but I can only attest.
Yeah, are there any identified organizations that we're claiming have programs or do advocacy for DFA or other pathways?
I know of none.
So Michelle, are you speaking directly to advocacy work?
Well, I'm speaking to the point that the chairperson of the committee should be, as the statute states, from a home education community that was elected based on 193A, because that's what the purpose of the committee is, to represent 193A.
Mhm. So, and other members are saying that if there are members of an organization that that are doing other things in their families, they may have one student who is home educating and another student who is under EFA. Am I hearing correctly that
No, no, that was not the sense we had. The sense was that if the organization in its official capacity engages in advocacy for EFA or programs related to EFA, then that would be
The
disqualifying,
representative
but
that's been
not what
elected by
what the
that.
membership may do privately.
Mhm. Okay.
Can you offer any guidance on this?
Yeah, I can point to the law.
Thank you.
Yeah, I pulled it up.
And again, my role, right, is I'm not part of HEAC, so I won't interject unless I'm asked for a question, and my response would generally be based on the specific rule or law.
Mhm.
Okay. This is Home Education Advisory Council, so it's your council. So the council, I think to one question, there's a lot of, in my opinion, ambiguity in the law. For example, it doesn't define what a home education organization is. And we had that discussion a couple meetings ago
Mhm.
about trying to increase membership because we've had historically 2 vacant positions for home education association nominees. And we've struggled to get people to participate. And I think one of the terms I might point out, when somebody's appointed, the appointing authority is required to be a home education organization within the state.
Mhm.
Whoever they nominate there's no criteria on that.
Right.
So they can nominate somebody who's not
Mm.
part of their organization, for example.
Right.
So that's allowed under the language, specific language of the law. It doesn't say you have to be a member. The organization nominates somebody. And so that's a distinction. So I think maybe to your point, the criteria is what is a home education organization? And is that strictly, does that language lead us to assume that it's only home education, or it can be home education and homeschooling under EFA? That's up to you to decide. All I can do is say, this is what the language of the law says, and you interpret it in making your vote for what you want your chair to be.
Is it knowable? Based on the information available to us now, and having said that there are 4 possible candidates, I think at least 2 of us have
Mhm.
exempted ourselves from being the chair. Of the possible chairs, is there any disqualification that's perceived here? I don't know your sponsoring organization, Althea, or really any of yours, but is the sense that any of these organizations are working on both sides of the divide? Or is the
I'm
whole
sorry,
question,
could you share your name, please?
Marcus Zurich?
Marcus. Okay, thank you.
And Lindsay's joining us, so
Marcus, what organization are you from?
Granite State Home Education.
Okay, Granite State, we have Catholics United.
Christian Home Educators of New Hampshire and Southern.
Yep, okay. And Althea,
New Hampshire Homeschooling Coalition, and the New Hampshire Homeschooling Coalition does not advocate. We are not an advocacy organization, so we don't advocate for anything.
Do you have educational programs or support for EFA students?
Do we support educational programs for EFA students? I'm not
Do
sure
you
what
have, do you have- whatever activities you engage in, do those include facilitating or providing support to EFA families, specifically as EFA families?
How do you define EFA families?
Families that are taking an EFA grant.
You talking about education for my kids?
Yes.
What's that?
Are you talking about the education?
The
for my-
EFA, yeah.
Okay, I never
Education for
refer to them as CFA
Oh,
students.
sorry,
That's all right.
that was, I usually say EFA, but Althea was saying EFA, so.
Okay.
But I think
So-
that's the concern, and it may simply be moot, right? It may be that your organization doesn't have any involvement with that, and we can move on, right?
You know,
I'd say that you have to, yeah, I don't think anybody's saying you have to answer for like what the membership may be doing, but
right, so, a lot of our work as the HEAC and in our organizations is supporting people who are transitioning from one pathway to another, whether that's transitioning from public school to home education, transitioning from home education to private school. There's a lot of always a lot of questions about transitions. So we do field questions about those transitions.
which would
Does that
include
answer your
some
question?
people. Right, okay, it does, I don't have an objection here, but
could I just interject? For Lindsay Pattison is now with us, and did somebody want to give Lindsay, maybe if you want to give Lindsay an update on your concern?
Oh,
So
sure.
Lindsay, we're in the process of nominating a new chair. Because April has resigned, so that's really our first order of business, and then that chair will run the meeting. But Michelle had a question. And I think others might have questions, but he can fill you in maybe on what the question is, and that might inform your decision on your vote for chair. Also, you are eligible to be the chair.
So my question was that the statute indicates that the individual acting as chair is one that is elected from a homeschool support group within the state of New Hampshire. And so that my concern is that that individual is exclusively 193A representing, not one that is across both lines. I think we all at least watched, if we weren't participating in the September meeting where it was monopolized by about 95% of the time regarding EFA questions, and that is unacceptable for Home Education Advisory Council Committee.
So Ruth Ford has a question. Which one of the people now assembled is eligible to be appointed chair? One,
No,
two, three,
Althea.
and four.
3 in person and 2 remotely.
Okay.
So that was the point in question to see who was disclosing. The New Hampshire, Althea's newsletter, and website say that they support EFA families, so that would disqualify her in that sense. No, I'd like individual disclosure. That would be the cleanest and simplest if people could just be honest.
I'm sorry, is the question being posed directly to me right now or what? I'm not sure what are you asking me directly if I support EFA families?
Yeah, she's asking everybody who is representing a homeschool or home education group to state whether or not they are representing homeschool education, home education groups exclusively, not supporting both EFAs and home education.
Okay, so would support both, so I'm not exclusive to one pathway or another.
So now that leaves three. So Diane, your organization.
We are home education and we have been since 1999.
Okay.
And exclusively still,
not even-
I know of nothing that we do that supports EFF. Aside from answering questions like Althea was saying, where there's a transitional period, where they're coming in, where they're going out, to point people in a different direction, sure. But again, I'm not the president of CUHE, I'm just a member.
Right, so the membership comes to you with what they'd like to have represented at HEAC. So that would be the question then, are those families coming to you with concerns that are directly related to 193A, or is there a possible overlap with other pathways?
I don't know of any other overlap.
It sounds
It
like there
is.
would be though,
Why?
because you said you support families on both sides of transition.
No, I didn't say we support families of both sides.
Yes, you
I
did.
said that when someone has a question, if they are an EFA and they are interested in home education, we will answer their question to how to transfer to home education.
But you also said that you support families that are transferring from home education to another pathway.
So I
If
think,
we're pointing someone because they're not conforming with the law, because it's come to our attention, certainly we would tell them that they need to seek advice otherwise. We do not provide advice to them on the EFA. Is that clear?
I would say this, if you can look at an organization's website and they describe their work related to EFAs, then clearly they're supporting EFAs as well as home educators. If you ask a question about what a member family may be doing, maybe one kid is in one path or another, you know, that's not the kind of thing that I think you can have a clear finding of fact about in a committee like this. And I think in the same sense, you're asking Diane, you know, what sort of conversations you might have with a transitioning family and questions that may come up. That's also something that has too much variability and is too particular to submit as a fact. So I would not want to disqualify people because of a question somebody asked them on a phone call where they're trying to help them in general, you know, indicating I don't believe that that's a reasonable measure. You know, what is the mission of the organization? What work do they seek out? Does that seem like a reasonable and moderate rule to apply here?
Agreed.
So can I ask a question since you brought this up? Sure. Have you checked all these websites to see whether or not, because we could just, you know, move past this at that point?
Can I make a motion for nomination?
Absolutely.
I motion to nominate Marcus, please.
May I ask another question though to
Second.
clarify? Oh, I'm sorry, a
Yes, sure.
motion is on the table. I apologize.
I don't know the procedural
Well,
next step.
there's a
If Marcus
seconding
has
of the
to,
motion.
okay.
And then there's discussion. So. Ruth, do you want to second the motion or do you want me to?
I can't.
No.
I'm not a voting
Oh, we
member, so I can't
can't.
do
Oh,
anything.
that's right. It's just,
No.
so it's me, it's us.
I have questions. but-
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll second that motion so that we can have discussion.
Thank you.
Althea, it's,
So, yeah, I have a question to clarify here because, if the suggestion is that an organization can't, you know, let's see. You know, every homeschooling organization has members who are going in and out of public school, right? And so we have to answer questions about public school. we have to answer questions about going in and out of private school. So I don't understand why there's this, why you have come with this strict interpretation that, you know, people can't, you know, kind of can't talk about IFA. And I understand that the Home Education Advisory Council is for home education, believe
Then
me.
there should be no confusion out there. It's not an interpretation, it's the purpose of the committee.
The purpose of the committee,
Is to represent home educating families in the state of New Hampshire. The committee was formed before there were other alternative educational pathways in the state of New Hampshire. And our stated purpose is to represent 193A home educating families. Other organizations and other pathways have their own representation to the DOE. This is our role in this committee.
I
It's
understand
not
that.
an interpretation, it's not an interpretation of our purpose. It is literally our purpose. If you want to represent two communities, you can represent two communities exclusively in each committee, but that's not what's been happening and it's not going to continue.
Is this the interpretation of everyone here, that that this group is for home educators only and you
Mhm.
cannot accept education savings account money to
That's-
buy the tuition materials or provide for tutoring?
Correct.
It's strictly you're on your own, you're not accepting
Yes.
help from anything. That is the purpose.
That's the
Yes.
purpose of
That's
this
the
committee, yes.
population being represented.
Yes.
That is this
Yeah, I
committee.
Okay.
understand that, but it seems to me that that population might get some advice and might get some information from other areas.
I can contribute from my own committee, from the community that I represent myself. There is great concern that there is overlap between the two, and they demand that we remain stringent on
Okay,
representing
so
193A.
Does that also then come down to the composition of the advisory council?
The statute comes down to the composition of the advisory council.
So unless you're a homeschooler, you shouldn't even be here.
I am a homeschooler.
Pardon?
I am a homeschooler.
That's correct.
Yes.
Right.
That's exactly
That's
right.
what I'm saying. I don't mean you personally.
The
No, yeah.
statute
Yeah.
delineates who is at this table
Okay.
and
so-
how they're at this table.
So you really don't want anybody on this committee except people who are homeschooling their children?
No, I want the people at this table on this committee to be those that are delineated in statute, and those that are delineated in statute represent their seats as delineated.
So what I'm saying is that that will be only the families or people of families who are home educating their children.
That's correct, under 193A.
Okay.
I thought we defined this in September.
I've never heard this discussion before.
We had,
Usually.
there was a lot of conversation about this
Okay.
topic. It started last year.
And it, again,
A lot of
continues to be
concern.
conflated.
And I understand that. And I understand that concern.
So again, the motion on the table still is that I have nominated Marcus. Marcus, would you accept the nomination?
I will accept it, but I am wary, having this being my first meeting. I would prefer if somebody with more experience at this committee were found
Could I,
qualified.
could I offer something? When I first joined, there were two women, I think actually one was from your organization. And one was from another organization, and they partnered. Somehow they worked together. There was like co-leaders. Do you remember that? They
Yeah, I don't
somehow.
know if that was
Co-chairs or
before.
something.
Oh, okay. It might have been before you.
When Amanda and
That was.
Yeah.
Amanda from.
Yeah, they
Colorado.
shared the
Amanda's
responsibilities.
sitting up there.
Mhm.
Oh. Hey, oh my goodness, hi. Yes, so they shared the responsibilities of the group.
We could have a chair and it doesn't mention co-chairs,
Yeah.
but you could have a chair and
I
vice
think they've
chair.
also had an interim chair.
Yeah.
They've done everything.
And I did want to mention, I was mistaken, Lindsay, unfortunately, you were not eligible
No.
to be chair since you were directly appointed by the commissioner.
Okay.
Just to clarify for people's vote.
So Marcus, you're willing to accept,
I'm willing to accept because we need a chair and to
Yeah.
continue with business. And if that's if that's the sense of the membership, then I will be the chair. Probably, I would be looking to resign the chairmanship and have another election once we have all of our seats filled. Right now, we're obviously kind of short-staffed and dealing with, the surprise need to find a chair, but, hopefully down the road when we have, all of our members and a little more familiarity with each other, we can put that back to the question. For now, I would accept.
Fair enough, thank you.
And are you secretary?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you can report the vote.
Oh, do I announce the vote or does he does
No, record the vote.
record the vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
just
so
make sure
that
we
all
have
those,
that
in
stuff.
yeah, that.
And because we do have remote attendees.
Yeah.
Actually, if I may, Althea, can you go through the process and, Althea first and then Lindsay, of why you are unable to attend and if there's anybody else with you in the room? In accordance with 91A.
I'll go first, Althea. Yes, I'm unable to attend due to family obligations. There is no one else here with me today.
And I'm unable to attend because I'm on vacation out of state. And there's no one else in the room.
Okay, and for purposes, again, because we have remote attendees, any votes need to be voice votes and please state your name. I think that's it, so. Thank you.
All right, so the motion is to elect Marcus Zuick for the chair. Road attendees, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
Name. state-
Heather Barker, I represent NHSAA. I was appointed by the commissioner to be on this.
Michelle Rohrabacher, I represent Christian Home Educators of New Hampshire and Southern Maine, and I vote yes.
Marcus Zuick, Granite State Home Educators, I vote yes.
You want me, Ruth Wood Senate?
Is it our turn?
Yeah, she can't vote, yeah.
Althea
Yeah.
Barton, New Hampshire Homeschooling Coalition, I vote yes.
Lindsay Pattison, I vote yes.
Is she there?
Lindsay, yes.
Yeah,
It's
she's
just the
appointed.
representatives in that center. They vote.
Okay.
on it.
Diane
Okay.
Nolan, I vote yes. Is Mike so Mike's not here? Oh, James O'Rourke is not here?
No.
Joe Grant is not here?
Correct.
Caitlin Kutan, Katie Purnell?
Nope.
No? Okay.
That's everybody, I think the motion passes. Maybe agenda.
I would love to pass this right over here, sir.
Hey.
Welcome to the team. It's a great group.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It is, actually.
I believe you. I believe you.
All right, do we have a copy of the agenda?
Yes, is somebody out?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Perfect.
See how-
All right, from the top, first item. NHED 2023-24 home education notifications. NHED received 482 intent to commence home education program notifications between October 1st, 2023 and September 30th.
Do we wanna begin
Okay,
it?
so this is just reading this into the record. There's nothing to discuss on item one.
Did you want to follow the agenda?
I thought this was the agenda.
No, no.
I don't have the
Oh,
agenda.
I'm sorry.
All right,
This is just one moment.
appointments.
It's for the public comment, Jennifer.
That's important.
Okay.
Attendances.
So. Selection of chairs complete, agenda review.
Introductions of Allison Landrigan.
Introductions. Allison Landrigan.
All the time.
She-
Resignations or resignations,
Okay, you see, we'd already done selection of a chair,
right?
so I guess we're moving back to appointments, resignations.
And Ally is not available today, but I can, so Ally, Lannigan joined the department really 4 months ago now. And she's been helping me with my 5 programs, and I've really had her concentrate on home education, and so she's really taken that over. At this point, with still a little bit of support for those unusual questions that come in.
Mhm.
But she's been handling all the notifications for the department and, getting that information out within that 14 days. And unfortunately, she's not able to be here, but she should be here at the next meeting, so she's been a great asset to me to
Mhm.
free up a little time.
Great. Recruitments for vacancies. Is there any action to take on this? Do we know of uncontacted home education associations that have not put forward representatives or?
Yeah, so during the, in August, September is usually before the new session starts, I look to fill vacant positions, and actually Heather was super helpful this year. Getting
Yep.
James O'Rourke
Yep.
in place.
Mhm.
And so the member.
We can advocate for within our groups.
Yes, I
To-
would hope so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That'd be great. I think it's been a while that we've not had them filled.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other comments or thoughts on item D there? Moving on, I'm not sure what agenda review here entails. Somebody help me with,
The prior chair used to just go over the agenda to see if people wanted to move things around.
okay,
But that's really up to you, if you want to do that.
any comments or suggestions regarding the agenda before you?
I think it's fine to proceed in the way that it's set up.
Okay, great. Minutes of
Your
previous
minutes,
meeting?
yep.
Any corrections, updates to the September 20th minutes? Any comments? Remote? On the minutes, okay,
You know.
accepted. Anyone move to accept?
Make the motion to accept them.
Second.
Second,
All
public
in
comments.
favor?
Public comment.
Public comment. Michelle,
First up, we have Michelle Lavelle.
public comments.
I'm sorry, we need to vote on the minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have to
All in
vote.
favor,
Yeah.
yeah.
Favor of accepting the minutes? Aye.
I believe all the votes have to be roll call since
Okay.
we have people remote.
Okay,
And it's only, as I understand, it's only people who were here for the meeting? That your understanding, Senator Ward?
It's normally only people who attended the meeting.
Yeah.
Um,
Michelle Robacher, I accept the minutes.
Heather Barker, I accept the minutes.
Marcus Zook, I accept the minutes.
Diane Nolan, accept the minutes.
Lindsay
Okay.
Pattison, I accept the minutes.
Althea Barton, I accept the minutes.
All right. Minutes are accepted. Now, public comments, 10 minutes. First up, Michelle Lavelle, Auburn, representing Granite State Home Educators. Comment regarding the 9/24 meeting.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. For the record, I am Michelle Lavelle, Director of Granite State Home Educators, a statewide nonprofit serving 16,000 members who choose home education. While some of our members have become EFA families who still choose to homeschool, we have stressed that this is by statute a separate educational pathway with its own requirements. In particular, a family that switches to the EFA must terminate their home education status. Our use of the word terminate was noted with concern at HEAC September meeting, but this term comes directly from both relevant statutes, RSA 193A for home ed and RSA 194F for EFAs. While families accept an EFA contract, when they do so, they switch pathways under New Hampshire's compulsory attendance law, regardless of how those funds are used. For the record, GSHE, whenever advising people, we do in fact state back to the law 193A and the home ed rules BE 315. All of our advice recommendations are through that lens. Ultimately, the distinction between independent home ed and the EFA serves several important functions. One, it protects families who choose not to participate in EFA. That was abundantly clear with the hostile legislation we've faced the last 3 years. Two, it preserves home education as an option should EFA requirements change. That means we are a safety net for EFA families should they ever choose to change their mind. And three, it maintains home education as an immediate alternative for students needing to leave traditional schools. In other words, all the other educational options have some approval process, whether it's for an EFA to be approved and be determined eligible to take that grant or change into a public school or to enter a private school. Home education is the only one that can be initiated immediately. Regarding online programs, which was another question at the September meeting, their classification depends on two elements, both the state approval status of the school and the child's individual educational pathway. For example, Stanford Online High School, though accredited, was considered home education when my own son attended because it was not approved as a non-public school in California, nor here in New Hampshire. Today, such programs may fall under a different pathway depending on the individual child's status as a 193A or 194F student. So while homeschooling as a term has become generic for any kind of parent-directed education, Maintaining clear distinctions between pathways is not adversarial. It is a simple, essential need for helping families understand their choices and to protect the independent home education option for families across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. And our second public commenter, Amanda Weeder from Rochester.
My name is Amanda Whedon. I am in leadership with Granite State Home Educators and Christian Home Educators of New Hampshire and Southern Maine. I'm a veteran homeschool mom, and I'm also an advocate in the state of New Hampshire. I'm going to go off script here for a moment, just to voice my concern that when I came in and gathered the paperwork that was available for anyone to attend the meeting, an email that was sent out and was available for everyone is a post in a private Facebook group that was shared in Granite State Home Educators. It is against the rules of our group, which are very clear and concise, that anything in the group can't be shared outside of the group without asking permission first. So it's alarming to me to come to a public meeting to find my personal post printed out on an email sent to everyone. I think that is inappropriate, and I want to express my distaste for that. Absolutely unacceptable. I am here to voice my concern about the September meeting and some of the conversations that have happened here today. This council, their purpose, their mission, the goal of this organization is to advocate, support home education in New Hampshire. That is clearly defined in statute, and the focus needs to be the focus. I'm reading through the minutes from the last meeting. An exorbitant and unacceptable amount of time was spent on EFA families, on EFA family issues. That is not our wheelhouse. That is not our concern. And as an unfunded traditional RSA 193A home educator, whatever we want to call it, whatever words we want to use, third pathway, home education is third pathway. That's the mission and purpose of this council. And I implore you to stay focused on that pathway and on the mission and purpose of this council. Let's not stray to other pathways. Let's not confuse pathways. Let's make sure we're clear on the statutes, the law that everyone falls under. We need transparency here. We need to know who's representing us. We need to be very clear about that. And I want to encourage you, having served my time on this council as co-chair, please stay focused on what the mission and purpose of this council is. Thank you.
Okay, I think there's a third sign up. It seems to have been scratched off. So
I thought it was an attendance sheet, that's why I signed off.
oh, I see. I see. Yeah.
So I'll check online.
All right. Any public comments from online?
You want to raise your hand in the Zoom? I don't see anybody raising their hand. There's
Sorry?
nothing in the chat either.
Somebody behind you.
It's a little further in the room. Sorry, I'm a little bit new.
Are you here for the public comment?
Yes, I'm Marty Longset. My name is Marta Northfield. I'm from Bedford, New Hampshire. I'm a homeschool mom. And I wasn't gonna comment, but I also post private things, jokes, requests on the Granite State homeschool education. And I'm a little bit alarmed that somebody's private post is on an email, because I also post things, asking other moms for advice, and so much of that is private. So that is a little bit alarming to me.
Okay, could you put your information here just for the minutes? Thank you. Do we have, do we know where that came from? That was
I believe
circulated?
that she's talking about the message that I sent to Tim.
Okay, this,
My intention was to make sure that Tim was aware of their concerns
okay,
and to make sure there was part of the public record. it was sent to me. I did not personally go onto that website, so shame on me for having forwarded something that someone else had sent to me. I really didn't know where it came from, aside from it was cut and paste and sent to me.
Yeah, and I can't say that. This is the only place it does exist, so my apologies, we will shred those.
Well, it's also concerning to me that you didn't ask where it came from. That should have been your responses, in my mind, is, you know, leading this group. If someone would come to me as the leader of your group and say, oh, this is an email, or this was a post, or whatever it was, that was in a group, I would ask more questions. Well, where did it come from? Who wrote it? What's the date on that? Is this appropriate for you to be sharing with me right now? Are there privacy issues? Are there any concerns? You know, where is this coming from? Those are basic conversations, you know, that I would have if someone came to me with information like this.
So you said it was posted on Facebook?
This was in our closed, private, membership approved Facebook group.
And it states that even in what you printed off, posted on GSHE.
Yeah, I thought GSHE was a website, not a Facebook group.
Okay,
We
so-
have both. But this, even in your blurb right here at the top, you say,
Yeah. What I was told, you're right.
so you say this post, which was sent to me this weekend, will gain context. Well, you know, who is sharing a post from our closed private group to someone? Are you in our private group?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm not sure why you don't know.
I'm a little unclear because I thought a website was different from a Facebook. Like you log into Facebook.
This is in the Facebook group. I'm a member of the Facebook group and I saw this post in the Facebook group.
Okay. And I don't do Facebook, so I'm not.
Okay,
on
so you
Facebook.
Okay.
received it from a third party who
Yes,
took it from the Facebook group. And you submitted it
yes, I forwarded it
for it.
Without vetting it.
with the intention of
Well, so
letting your.
what's the
concerns be
contention
known.
here? Is it the council's responsibility to secure the communications of that Facebook group, or is it that Facebook group's responsibility to secure their own communications?
I think it's the council's responsibility to determine the validity of the information that's been handed to them. Ms. Nolan.
And I'm not
has-
sure,
Ms. Nolan
in
has-
what capacity this was being,
Right, so Ms. Nolan
distributed, not-
shared it to gain context in what Amanda hopes to communicate, but did Ms. Nolan communicate with Amanda as to what Amanda hopes to communicate? Because this could be something completely fabricated because Ms. Nolan did not verify it.
Is there some remediation that's recommended? Suggested? Other than, as we said, shredding these and double checking our sources in the future?
I would suggest that based on the concerns that we've already expressed today, that we are making sure that we're representing 193A homeschooling families and that the concerns that we bring to the council are valid concerns that have been confirmed.
Right,
I'll
I'm
say
talking about
I-
this question, the
This
security of
question
the
is me.
Facebook group.
Whoever sent this to you didn't contact me. Right, and so this is all inappropriate, is what I'm saying. It's inappropriate, and now this is on a public record. This is a public record right now, and this is all completely inappropriate.
So you didn't write that?
It doesn't matter whether or not I wrote
That's
it.
not the
That's
issue
not
at hand, Diane. The issue at hand is that whether intentional or unintentionally, you took correspondence that was sent to you, that a third party offered to you about someone else. I'm not even sure how anybody knew that Amanda was coming, because I didn't know. I'm very happy to see you, by the way. That Amanda was coming today. So I'm not sure what the context was, but what the issue at hand now is that this actually is in the public record here. And it's very clear to me, one, the issue of privacy in terms of their organization, it came out of a closed group, which is supposed to be a closed group. So whoever that member is that sent that to you should not have done that. That's their problem.
Right.
Okay, our problem is once in our hands or in your hands as a representative of this council, you know, I guess part of the remediation is moving forward, if someone were to receive something like that. One, reaching out to the individual and just saying, you know, why are you sending this? Where'd this come from? That kind of thing, to figure out what it is. And in the case, if we knew who the person was, which you did, would be reaching out directly to Amanda to find out if it's okay if you share this information. Because her intention was never for this to be part of this public meeting.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing.
Fair enough.
Okay, does that sound like what happened? So the remediation is moving forward. We should be agreeing as council members, because I have had people write stuff to us, is to not bring it forward or engage in it without checking where it came from and was that offered by the person. Like, I've received it directly from people in the public who wrote letters to us.
Mhm.
Is checking back with that person. Is it okay to forward or share with other members if I'm the only one that received it? I guess I would say we do have a responsibility to do that.
And so procedurally, how do we, so this was something that sort of entered the record by the side door in between meetings. It just was with the preparatory materials for this meeting.
Yes.
Would we say that no such letter, no such communication should be part of those preparatory materials outside of the meeting, you know, unless it's the meeting agenda, previous minutes, materials that are already recognized. And that if somebody has something like this to bring forward in a meeting, the thing to do is to speak in the meeting, submit it to the record, allow people to challenge it, you know, speak to its veracity, and then have it entered into the record in the meeting, if it's found to be salient and appropriate. Okay, so there just should not be things landing in email and winding up on the table prior to the meeting.
Yeah, with that, and definitely not without the person who wrote it
Right, but
permission.
certainly.
That's
Yes.
what-
At least not in an identifying fashion. Right? If you're representing somebody that says, I don't want to go on record to say that this is what my problem is that I've been having,
Mhm.
because maybe
We've
they
had lots of
fear
that, yeah.
retribution
Yeah.
or some other concerns within their community, then you can represent a vetted person anonymously. That's a completely different issue, but that's not the case here.
In any event, the provenance of the information would be part of the discussion along with the introduction of the information, and it would happen in the open meeting. Are there any other public comments from the Zoom or?
No, I don't see anybody raising their hand or any traffic in the comments.
Okay. So I'm gonna close public comment. Is that something we have to vote on?
I don't believe so.
Commissioners report updates from Department of Ed.
Right, and some of this is a rehash of what you've already covered. I did want to point out that our home ed notification, so the commissioner is one of 3 of the participating agencies that intent to home educate can be sent to.
Mhm.
We saw a significant spike in notifications this year. An increase of 40% over the same period last year, and that's from October 1st to September 30th of each year.
Mhm.
Is how we report it. And I don't know if the other participating agencies are finding that similar increase. We have no way of knowing that.
Mhm.
By design, we don't have access to that data. So I just wanted to make that point that we did see a significant increase. Ally, as I mentioned, is on board, so she's been updating the home ed website. We're working on an FAQ. It's getting there. And we still want to work with them on an informational webinar now that so I mentioned some earlier that this home education notifications are quite a slug in the fall. And it's a lot of work for Ally. And so hopefully I'll connect her with Heather if you're still willing.
Yep, I am.
To work with Ally instead of
Yep.
myself on that, getting that webinar up for schools and or a second one for families. We're definitely doing that. Item 3, HEAC membership changes. So again, April resigned on November 21st. And then I did contact the New Hampshire School Boards Association over the summer. Again, they declined. New Hampshire School Principals Association was contacted. Heather helped with that, which is great. And Jim is on board. He couldn't make today, last day of school for the before the holidays, so it's pretty hectic, he said. And Michelle is now with us from Christian Home Educators from New Hampshire and Southern Maine, and was nominated by both Christian Home Educators and is another, you're part of two organizations?
No, I'm only part of that
Just
one.
part of one, okay. It's Amanda, you're part of two,
Yeah.
correct? So the nominee was representing two. And so she was formally appointed to HEAC by the commissioner on November 13th. And as I said, there's still two openings for representatives from home educator associations. And so if you'd like to nominate someone, please send a request to the commissioner for consideration. And in general, he does like to interview whoever he's nominating or considering. And the last item is the status of ED 700. For those who aren't familiar, I think it's for students who are under the age of 18, we would like to take the high set and or the other test in a moment. It would require the participating agency to approve that. There's discussion and it likely will be changed that the parent can sign off on that as they do when their child completes home education. We have capacity issues with our rulemaking. It's always an ongoing process. And Sarah Wheeler, who's the head of Adult Education Bureau, did indicate that now that the minimum standards are fully adopted, which was a large chunk of work for the attorneys of the department, that she's hoping to get time with our attorneys to move this forward. And I think we're all in agreement on making the change as appropriate. So I don't think that's a question, but ED 700 is a much larger rule that deals with many things, and this is just one part of it. So I'll keep you updated on as that moves to rulemaking, so you can have an opportunity to comment as anybody in the public. That's all I have. And does anyone have questions for me about the work the department's doing?
I want to ask you how that trade Palooza went.
I sent Ally, and she said it was great. Very well attended. There was an inside and an outside. Many people didn't have access to the inside, so she can't comment on that, but she said there was quite a number of students and it was considered very successful. So, great.
And what about Brian Bolt?
Brian has left the department, so we do not have an EFA administrator any longer. And I understand the position's been posted. And I don't know anything more than that.
So he would,
And his-
ultimately, he wasn't invited to the next meeting.
Correct. And his role primarily was managing a contract with the Children's Scholarship Fund of New Hampshire. They're responsible for the day-to-day management of the department, and that's why they have a contract with the state.
Okay, all right. Moving on, member reports.
My term here has expired. As the other two legislators, I have not gotten my letter yet. I'm assuming that they'll just appoint me. So I've told them that I will attend all the commission hearings unless they tell me not to, so they're slow in getting those letters out, so that's, and I would imagine that's the same thing with Katab and Paranel. I took a quick look at some of the LSRs that are listed here. An awful lot have to do with it. The scholarship for gifted children, I think it's a good one. And an awful lot of them have to do with the freedom accounts. And where they go and who should get it. And I haven't seen all the bills. I haven't seen any of the education bills yet, so I can't tell you very much about it. And that's about it. I think I have next week off, then we start up again. The 8th of January.
Are the other, either of the two representatives present?
They're not here.
I don't believe they are. Home Educator Association representatives?
So I have nothing to report. This is Althea Barton. I have nothing to report this month. We had nothing unusual come up.
Mrs. Nolan?
We've also seen an increase in attendance at different, well, we have a gym program that runs And there are a lot of younger families. There's an increase in membership as well. As we know, April resigned. We thank her for her commitment and dedication to the council. This is a very challenging time for her, so we wish her the best. And I have a question actually, Tim, about that Conmigo. So it says it's open, it's on the Friday forum.
Oh, okay.
It says it's open to all the schools with it's an AI tutor and a teacher tool.
Okay.
But it says, initiate free contracting process for it. So it's addressed to teachers, but is there a prospect that a home educator could use it for their students or for their children?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the program at all, but that's something I can look into and get back to you at the next meeting.
And the other question would be about major choice. So that gentleman
Yeah.
reached out to all of us.
Yes.
I did talk to him. I understood that you were meeting with him as well. And that he's now an accredited offering.
So one of the other programs I run is Learn Everywhere, which grants credit for opportunities outside of school. That public high schools must accept. And so they actually have funding through our vocational rehab to work with qualifying kiddos. And so now that work is credit bearing. And so, as I mentioned with Learn Everywhere before, even though home educating kiddos don't need credit, they're really good learning opportunities. And I think, as I understand it, any kiddo is eligible through VR to receive this service. And if we encourage people to give Learn Everywhere certificates, because you never know if down the road a home educating student or a private school student is going to go back to public school. And if they do, they can bring their credit with them and redeem it at that time. There's no argument, because schools are required to accept that credit in the area it was ours. So that's an open elective. And my understanding is through VR that kids are eligible. And it's not only for public school kids. And Learn Everywhere things, you don't have to be one or the other. So does that answer your question about major choice? Yeah, because that was one of my questions when I first started conversations is, hey, private school kids are eligible, and they are. And I think they are eligible. And we have a second program, youth advocate program, a similar, also VR funded, that it's working its way through the Learn Everywhere application process now. So, but they're again a VR approved vendor for these services for kids.
Ms. Rohrbacher?
Yes, there was, concern within the Christian Home Educators group of families that are participating in the tax credit scholarship program, that their reimbursement process has become increasingly lengthy and construed. So that is the concern. I don't know what we can do with that, how we can advocate for a better position for those families, but the tax credit scholarship serves 193A families. The organization that runs that program also represents EFA families, and the increase in participation with EFA families has seemingly pushed the 193A families aside. I can personally attest to the same as a family that participates in the tax credit scholarship.
And so is it availability of the tax credit? Or you're saying the,
Length of time in processing transactions specifically. Whether it is class wallet transactions that are done through the marketplace that process very quickly on the class wallet side, but then get hung up for an undue amount of time in the approval side, or if it's transactions for families submitting reimbursements. So I don't know what power or influence we have, but it is a great concern within the 193A families that they are being pushed aside in favor of the advocacy work that Children's Scholarship Fund is doing with the EFA. Yes, Tim?
So if I may, so as an advisory council to the commissioner, if the council would like to vote to send this issue a letter to the commissioner, that would be my
We
suggestion.
feel this is the need for more resources or a rule change as to. What would be the recommended policy or remediation here? Do we know? Or just to bring up the concern and. have it
Yeah, I
be-
have no involvement with the children's
So
scholarship.
would your intention be to have the council write a letter stating that? So it was different before,
Correct.
okay, and now it's different, and it appears. That the EFA families are getting their stuff processed more efficiently, quickly.
Or that the abundance of EA family participation is pushing aside the resources that Children's Scholarship Fund previously could have dedicated to tax credit
It's a
scholarship
bandwidth
families.
issue, sort of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So money,
Considerable issue.
yeah, that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, so would you like to draft that letter if we agree to? Send it, or who would be responsible for
So, yes.
drafting that letter?
Who would draft the letter to? Sarah?
Yeah, the draft.
Okay, we would draft
Yeah,
it as, okay,
And I would say send it directly to the commissioner. There's no need for me to get in the middle of that process, because you're advisory.
So the process would be, we agree to send a letter at this meeting, somebody drafts it, we accept it the next meeting and send it, or,
That would be my understanding.
okay. All in favor of advisory level letter to Commissioner about the state of Children's Scholarship Fund resources? Or,
So
I-
just to clarify,
I'd
you're
like to state
suggesting,
that.
I'm sorry.
How would you like to state the purpose of the letter? But yeah, however, your comment, sorry.
No, I just wanted to confirm, are we suggesting that we would authorize someone to draft a letter and bring it back to us next month so that we can approve the language?
Exactly. No. Just put it in one person's hands to determine what the language should be. All in favor? We have to roll call
sorry,
everything.
procedure, do we have to
Okay.
authorize the letter, then appoint the person, just so that we don't? I don't know.
I can do it all. at the same
Okay,
I would say,
do it all at
That
once.
makes sense. It's up to you.
All in favor of Mrs. Rohrabacher drafting a letter for us for next month?
I'm in favor of that, because you've actually had the experience.
Right. I'm in favor.
We have to do that.
Roll
Oh,
call.
sorry.
All right, Heather
We'll need a
Barker.
roll call. Diane, is it best if you call the names so that you
Yeah.
can, it's clearer for you?
I can do that. Althea Barton,
In favor?
Diane Nolan, yes. Michelle Rohrabacher,
Yes,
Marcus Zook,
Yes.
Heather Barker,
Yes,
Mike's not here, James not here, Lindsay Patterson,
Yes,
Jill's not here. Ruth Ward votes on this?
No.
No, okay. Caitlin and Katie are both absent, so that's it.
All right. Yeah, passed, and we'll review the letter next time. Any other items? Ms. Rohrabacher?
What is the topic of this letter? Because I couldn't really hear Michelle very well.
sorry, so the topic of the letter is concerns from the RSA 193A families that the current load that Children's Scholarship Fund has in cases between the EFA and the tax credit scholarship has prevented them from appropriately serving the tax credit scholarship families.
Okay.
And do you have any other items for this meeting?
Yes, I believe we all received a letter from Amanda Whedon that was asked to be placed into the public record. It might have been before you appointed, I don't know. We were both around the same time in between meetings. Requesting that we each disclose our personal educational status.
Okay,
So I would request that we address that letter as was sent to each of us. The email was sent on November 21st. Or sorry, November 18th, sorry.
so I would not be part of that.
If it's easier, I can read the letter. If others need a refresher or
Okay.
that way we can appropriately address the concern.
are we reading, we're reading the letter? Sure.
It's because it was asked to be entered into the record.
Right.
So I will, though, double confirm that Amanda does wish this to still be addressed. Okay. Okay, let me get into it. Doesn't want to open. Here we go. It says, Dear Home Education Advisory Council members, I am writing this letter as a means to be on record. I am a veteran home educator, homeschool advocate, and leader in Granite State Home Educators and Christian Home Educators of New Hampshire and Southern Maine. As you probably know, I have also served time on HEAC and am familiar with its duties and roles strictly advisory to the commissioner. As we move into a hostile legislative session for home education freedom, it is of utmost importance that RSA 193A home educators are represented in the fullest capacity possible in order to protect our legal rights. To this end, I'd like to request your attention to these matters specifically at this time. As per RSA 193A, item 10, the following individuals who shall be appointed by the Commissioner of the Department of Education from persons named as follows. 1, 6 members nominated by home educator associations organized within New Hampshire. Please provide clarification as to the organized home educator associations that are represented by each member. As HEAC is legally under the purview of RSA 193A or the third pathway in RSA 193.1, independent, unfunded, traditional, non-EFA home education, this necessitates representatives who are nominated by organized home educator associations to also be operating as or representative of this legal pathway. To be clear, home education pathway organizations and the representatives nominated to HEAC must fall under this category. EFA homeschoolers or EFA advocates are not eligible for seats on HEAC. Please provide clarification as to the educational pathway status of representatives. As an EFA advisory board, the Children's Scholarship Fund's resources, advocacy, and support all exist separately from HEAC and its representative functions. It is the position of Granite State Home Educators and the Christian Home Educators of New Hampshire and Southern Maine that transparency on these aforementioned issues is mandatory. HEAC is not an EFA outlet for support or advocacy. The EFA has a separate Parent Educator Advisory Committee, a 7-member group created in the EFA statute RSA 194F. It is not open to the public or following the right to know law RSA 91A. The EFA pathway must be diligently separated from home education. The interests of home education families in New Hampshire are at stake here, and it is imperative to clearly and quickly respond to any doubts on this matter. There are but a few examples of recent situations that necessitate such diligence. Republican Representative Moffitt expressed agreement with Democratic representatives on homeschoolers, quote, falling through the cracks while discussing the EFA at a public event. Introduction of a universal EFA bill by Republican sponsors for 2025. Talk of lowering the compulsory attendance age to 5. Talk of adding graduation requirements to home education law. Constant conflation of home education and EFA pathways by legislators. Confusion surrounding legal daycare licensure requirements due to lower age qualifications for EFA homeschoolers. Lack of fundraising support and prompt reimbursement for ETC CSFNH recipients. It is my position that these matters are all tied together, and it is my sincere effort to advocate in the best interest of home educators by bringing them to your attention. The cancellation of the November session paired with the urgency of these matters necessitates this letter. And she closes with, I am available for discussion and hope to be in attendance for December's meeting, which she is. Sincerely, Amanda Whedon. So when I received this letter, I interpreted that to be a request to know what the status was of the representatives of this committee,
The
Okay,
appointed.
the appointed
Yep.
representatives.
so in the first place, is there anything we need to do to accept that into the record, or is it just, it's in the record now, you've read it, okay,
You've read it.
okay. And so the second thing you're asking for the members to disclose their
Status.
own families,
Yeah.
education status.
Okay.
Yeah. Gonna roll call again?
Well, I have a clarifying question.
Sure.
I'm very clear on my status. And this does not apply to me, but for example, if I am I am a mother of 3 children, and if one of them is I'm home educating one of them under 193A, and I have another student in public school, and for a 3rd child, I've accepted EFA funds. So how would this apply to a person like that? Again, that's not me. But how would this request or this clarification apply to a person in that position?
The simplest and cleanest answer would be that they disclose all.
Would you say that disqualifies the person?
No, the request that's been put forth was that they would disclose their status. So the simplest and cleanest response to that question would be to answer it openly and clearly with how you would be defined. If you would be defined by more than one of those categories, then you would disclose more than one of those categories.
So does anybody object to that? As a practice, as a rule? Does anybody believe we should not be making these disclosures or should not be asking these disclosures?
Well, if it's ironic because previously there was no other pathway, it was home education,
Right.
okay? So what my understanding is, and this actually was the heart of several conversations we had last year and again in September, was that this is distinctly separate from those other quote unquote buckets or pathways, not to be mixed. And that's, I'm hearing a very clear message coming from the home education community that they absolutely do not want to be connected, especially to, so, you know, home education for EFAs or any other pathways. They want it to be that. So what I'm also hearing is they want the representatives who are being appointed, who are representing groups, to be people who are home educating, because that actually would be a conflict, frankly. If I'm at home doing an EFA, but I'm representing home education here, that is that's a clear conflict to me.
Yes,
So-
and it speaks to the point of what you're representing at the table. Whether you are appointed by a home education group or not, if you are representing if you are not here to represent the clear distinction between 193A and any other pathway, then you are not here representing 193A.
So I'm not hearing anyone objecting to this as a practice. To requesting these disclosures or to make these disclosures. Is that correct?
No, I'm not hearing it either, but actually I would say in that letter, perhaps to the commissioner, as part of his appointment process, he actually determined that, so that this doesn't have to happen.
Okay,
Right,
Like that.
because the commissioner has, I mean, I think it's in the 31510 or something.
Yeah.
ED 31510, is that right? Where he has the sole discretion to decide who he declines or nominates, right? Or not nominates, but appoints.
Appoints, correct.
So isn't it,
that
I
seems
mean, it-
parallel to the question of, you know, or orthogonal to the question of perhaps the public wanting to know
sure.
the personal status of.
Yeah, you-
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, so if he appoints someone, are we going to do this every month?
So I guess here would be
That's-
my response to that question is this. I would assume that an organization in good faith putting forth a nomination from these groups. So you've reached out to all these groups, you do it every year. And does. Groups have put forward people. We have new people on this council. I would make the assumption if I were appointing people that people were putting forward to me, that those people in fact represent the membership that's supposed to be on this council. So I think that's why right now, because things are sort of gray and mucky, frankly, perhaps having people announce that, I mean, we don't have the authority to take someone on or off.
Right.
But I think what the issue is, the concern is being raised that much of the time, at least in September, on this was focused on questions EFA parents had versus, so it's now, it's crossing over, and what they're trying to do is keep them completely separate.
Right.
So, you know, I don't have any problem with people doing that, and then I would ask that people consider moving forward. If you're representing this, it's really hard to be someone, let's use Althea's example. One of my children is going to public school, one of my children is doing home education with me, and I'm accepting money for another child. But I'm gonna sit on the home education. When you start to have that going on, that makes it complex because you've got multiple pathways going. And again, we have no say who gets appointed. But I do think that the people sitting around the table and the public who is listening in, they're here, they come every month, people really want to know what's happening, have a right to know if someone's actually representing more than one pathway. I think that's important.
Fair enough,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep,
sure.
So with no objection, we do a roll call of present members and have us each declare
So,
our family status.
okay, Althea Barton.
Our entire family has been 193A. I had a child who attended 1 year of public school, and the rest of our life has been 193A.
Diane Nolan, home educator since 1999. Michelle,
Sorry, just to clarify, the question at hand is 193A specific.
oh, sorry, RSA 193A,
Thank
home
you.
educator since 1999.
Thank you, that's for the audience, not for
Alright.
myself. We have a lot of crossover of terms that's happening, and we want to
Right.
make sure that everybody understands what we're talking about is what they're talking about. Okay, so Michelle Rohrbacher, yes, my family is fully 193A home educating.
Marcus,
My family is 193A home educating.
we don't need Heather, Mike, Lindsay,
Hi, Lindsay Pattison. My family is 193A home educating.
and that's it. Right,
All right, so I think that
Mhm.
finishes addressing the letter Ms. Rohrabacher read. Did you have any other items for this meeting, Mrs. Rohrabacher?
No.
Okay, I have no items for this meeting, or at least I feel that the Granite State Home Educators Organization's concerns have been adequately addressed. Previous phases of the meeting. Home education community, Mr. Kosky, Mrs. Pattison.
I have nothing to add today. Thank you.
NH Association of School Principals, I believe Mr. O'Rourke's not present.
Mhm.
School Administrators Association, Mrs. Barker.
Yeah, I will just add that I sometimes field questions where schools ask. And I review the rules with them, and they've been really appreciative. And I also make sure that at our statewide meetings, that I remind folks of our obligation in public schools to our home education children and families.
And non-public school advisory council, Mrs. Brand. Okay. New business. Selection of grievance committee members.
I'm sorry, I thought that we did the grievance committee and the rules committee last time. Because is it Mr. Kosky and I, didn't we state that we were on
Yes.
the rules committee?
But April left,
Wow.
and
Oh,
so
so we have to redo it?
I
Okay.
believe she was on both councils. I'm not positive about that.
Yeah, I don't have those.
It was last month, September's minutes.
September, it's
Oh,
in
okay.
September. Okay, here we go. Okay. The Rules Committee, I volunteered, Mr. Kosky, Ms. Pattison, and Ms. Malani volunteered, so we could just take her off, can't we?
That's the rule.
That's the Rules Committee, so the rest of us are all still here.
Yeah.
The Grievance Committee, I volunteered, Ms. Barker, Ms. Nolan, and Ms. Malani, so would somebody else? Or for either committee, would anybody else like to join the grievance? We need someone on the Grievance Committee. We have new members. And there's room on the Rules Committee to take the Malani spot. Would either one of you guys, or you want to just be the leader, fearless leader?
Yes.
Yes.
How about I take one and you take the other?
Sounds good.
Okay,
Okay.
Which one?
I'll take the rules committee.
you're on the
Grievances.
Yep, Okay, great.
Any formal votes on any of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to-
Okay, thank you for your help.
Senator Ward,
Yes,
there's a question about a bill that you are currently a sponsor of.
of what in progress?
LSR 2025-61 relative to the Universal Home Education Freedom Account.
It's the
Sorry.
LSR, I haven't seen the bill.
You're a prime sponsor, ma'am.
Am I the sponsor for it?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
That's probably the one that was from last year, I think. Oh.
No, ma'am, this is
that we-
2025.
This is 2025 bill.
But if it's an LSR, that I did put in a bill that was from last year, I reintroduced it.
Okay, but you're prime sponsor of a universal EFA bill and you're sitting on this committee.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm the sponsor. I might be. a
It's listed on the,
co-sponsor.
it's listed on the state.
Okay, well, I have to look at it because I don't have it unless I see it in front of me. I can't tell you. one
Sorry,
way or-
can I call Amanda?
Yes, you can call me.
Okay, Amanda, would you mind just refreshing Senator Ward as to what she sponsored? Thank you.
So we keep track of the LSRs that come through.
Yep.
And have a picture, a screenshot of it right here. Universal eligibility for the EFA account, and there you are now.
Also, prime is Valerie McDonald, I'm glad. Primary sponsor, right? That is sponsors prime, this is this. The first person is usually the one who's the prime sponsor.
And but your name is also listed as one of the sponsors on the bill.
Co-sponsor, yeah.
So, I just wanted to, on public record, request that unfunded RSA 193 home educators are completely left alone from this bill. We will obviously be reading through it with a fine tooth comb, but we want to make sure that there is an opt-out, that this is not inclusive, that unfunded home educators have no obligation whatsoever to participate in this program.
Why do you think that there's? And the universal just means that anybody can apply for it, it doesn't have anything to do with your income level. Has nothing to do with your home educator or whatever.
Right, but universal would imply, that term implies everyone, right? And so,
Everyone is eligible to do it. not-
correct,
Yeah. but
and
you
so
don't
I
have-
want to make sure that there is an opt-out of this, that it is not universal for every student in New Hampshire. I don't think that's the case at all, but I just want to, again, standing my ground here, that we don't want anything to do with
I-
that program, and we just want to make sure that we are not roped into any of this legislation that has to do with
Okay,
the income limits, you know, expanding the program, which is gonna happen, all of these things that are on the horizon. I stand my ground in advocating for unfunded third pathway traditional home education.
fine. I have no
Thank you.
problem with it.
Thank
I
you.
will make sure that the home educators are taken out.
Yeah, thank you.
Ruth, before you go, I had asked Tim if it was possible to move, we moved it to Fridays to accommodate, because then you can be here, which is great, you and the other legislators. I was just curious if we could look at the second Friday instead of the third Friday. I know, it's on
This isn't
there.
making a difference to me.
I just needed to know that, because I don't wanna put something, yeah,
It's like if you had them
Yeah,
on
it's a-
Thursdays, if you wanted any
yeah,
of the legislators.
right, and that's why we
Second or
moved it,
first,
yeah.
whatever, just-
Okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to be clear before you left, because I don't wanna
I
wanna
think
do that.
the third Friday for the session there, for the spring session, there will be JELCOR. So the third Friday, so do you want to move to what, the second? Friday?
I was hoping to, because it's a conflict with another organization that I sit on, and I don't want to miss
Okay,
those
we'll
meetings.
take a look at it. and
Sure.
let me know,
Thank you.
and I can,
Yeah, I just didn't want to leave people out.
because JELCOR is also on a Friday, so if you feel there's.
Yeah.
you know,
Sorry.
So we need to do the voting and the
Yeah,
and the rules.
yeah.
Okay,
Want to go around?
can we just combine that, accept new membership, both committees, one vote?
How about Rohrabacher for grievance?
Yeah.
Zook for
Rules.
It's snowing
That's what we'll
out
vote.
I know.
Okay,
Individual votes, you mean one for grievance, one for rules? Is that what you're saying?
Can we
Alfie?
vote?
if you would.
Yeah.
Vote
It's a
for these
motion,
changes.
Yeah, you make it a motion, yeah, make a motion.
So
to-
motion to include, Michelle Rohrabacher as grievance committee member and Marcus Zook as rules committee member.
Second,
Yeah.
Super. Okay, Althea Barton,
Yes,
yes. Diane Nolan, yes. Michelle Rohrabacher.
yes.
Marcus Zook,
Yes,
Heather Barton,
Yes,
Lindsay Patterson,
Yes.
and we're done.
Right.
The meeting date and time, please. Oh, sorry, jump to that.
meeting date and time.
So we were discussing moving the meetings to the second Friday for Heather.
Mhm.
I went ahead and looked into the holidays that, somebody had to do that. I just, got the job. Second Friday's in 2025. I could butcher this, Asara Betevel, is a minor fasting day on January 10th, which is the proposed first change of the second Friday meeting. But other than that, 2/14, February 14th is clear. No conflicting holidays. March 14th is the Holly Festival. And other than that, the dates that fall on the second Fridays had no conflicting holidays.
So we,
I'd make a motion then to change the date from the third Friday to the second Friday of the month at the same time, 2:30 to 4:30.
in a second,
Okay, sorry, you know what, I missed the motions on that last one. Who motioned the grievance and rules?
You made the motion.
I motioned,
I second.
You second.
Michelle.
This one I made the motion.
and I
Okay.
second.
Yeah,
Heather, motion.
Yeah.
And Marcus. Okay. Althea Barton,
yes,
Diane Nolan, yes. Michelle Rohrabacher?
Yes.
Marcus,
Yes,
Heather,
yes,
Lindsay,
Yes.
all set.
great, thank you, guys.
So
now-
that means the next meeting is January 10th. Is that correct?
Well, let me ask that question since it's already posted. Is that okay? Or, I mean, we can stay for that one if we've already got it
I
posted.
don't believe I have the 2025 meetings.
Okay, I
posted
just
yet
wanna- I
because
didn't
was
wanna-
Waiting for this. week.
Okay, because I don't want to create
With a-
strife for a
Yeah,
hassle
with
for
a number of
folks.
new members.
Yeah.
No.
And what we've typically done in the past is we've had a meeting and then a meeting really every other month with a
Right.
placeholder meeting on the
Right.
intervening months. And then I will check with the chair typically the Friday before that intervening meeting to see if the chair is calling
The
the
meeting.
meeting or not.
So does that mean that January 10th isn't the next meeting and February 14th is?
It's up to you.
Because
Yeah.
of
It's
this
been
one?
posted.
Yeah, it's how we choose to do it. Yeah,
This is the intervening month. This isn't the only month. So January
Right, so it
should be the
doesn't
next
bump
meeting.
to January to another one.
Right.
And it's completely up to the council. So whatever
Yeah.
you tell me to post, that's what I will post.
So we've been in session for an hour and a half. Does anybody need a recess?
no, I just need to let you know, I do have to leave right around 4:30 today.
Now for these rulemaking legislative updates, how do you normally proceed through these? I can't imagine that each of these is called as an item.
Tim just reported on them.
On the LSRs?
No.
No. I
Oh,
don't.
the LSRs? Oh, I can take, I could tell you that the last meeting, we put some on the calendar, some on the agenda.
Mhm.
Just to know what we were watching.
Mhm.
And if someone suggests more onto the agenda, they go. And I can also tell you that number 2, number LSR 2025-9 has come off. That one is no longer on the LSR list.
Which one was that? Can you say that one more time, Diana? Which one is no longer on?
Number 2.
Okay,
There are over 1,000.
Yeah,
1,156 LSRs, well, no, that's the numbering. There are 949 LSRs as of yesterday.
Okay.
I'd like to ask, the one that you mentioned, for example, LSR
2025-09?
32, yeah, 2025-32. No, sorry, I got the wrong one.
What are you talking about?
Number 2 on our list.
Zero,
Establishing
zero,
an annual
zero.
review and qualification to determine eligibility to participate in the Education Freedom Accounts Program. Reading the agenda, and there are some others like this on this list. I'm wondering why these are on the list for the HEAC.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think
even-
that the intention, Althea, was that there were some bills last year that had overlap. And so it was an EFA bill, 1663, maybe, that the 500 homes, what, 1610, yes. 1610 came up, there was overlap in what they were looking for, that was going to harm home education. And that was the only reason that EFA or other things got.
Yeah, so I mean, for example, as was discussed earlier,
watch.
number 6 seems to be an area of concern to some
so watching it would be important.
constituents, even
Is
though
that what
it
you're
is about
yeah.
EFA.
Right.
To
yeah,
make sure that the
was
rights
intention.
of home education are protected.
Just as parental rights is sometimes an overlap. It's really, this is just a watch list. It's not
Okay.
it's not anything.
So is the
Yep.
appropriate way to proceed through this section of the agenda to simply ask if any of the members have particular comments or concerns regarding the LSRs or additions they'd like to make to?
I think the next time
That
we come
watch
back,
list.
they
Yeah,
become
I'm not-
bills, right? By January, well, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but usually when we have the representatives here,
Yeah,
That
Senator
helps.
Ward, they typically chime in on
Oh.
Yeah.
status and give us some insight.
All right.
They
Yeah.
give us more feedback, more intuition.
So is there any other discussion desired about LSRs at this time?
not
We move
today,
on.
not for me, not today.
Okay. Informational items. Opportunities, International Aviation Art Contest.
Fair.
Absolutely.
It's just for new members, so our office, we're often sent information
Yeah,
that
it's nice. You
we
said
want to
that.
get out to some education community. So I think I might send some. to
Yeah, I
all.
think that's your emails.
You are really our only contacts. And I
Okay.
always include Michelle as well. And so the department doesn't have direct contact with families, obviously, so we always send it, and my wording is typically as it was in that email. It's your discretion if you want to choose to share that, it's completely up to you, but we do get a number of those opportunities that we pass on.
Okay,
Mhm.
so these are, I know the aviation thing, I recall seeing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I think it is important that home education families know about these, for sure.
Okay,
The next scheduled meeting.
and I believe that was, we say the 14th,
I think it's January 10th. No,
second
it's January 10th.
Friday
yeah.
is the 10th, okay. So next scheduled meeting is January 10th.
Mhm.
Open board discussions.
Well, I want to just take a moment to acknowledge the difficult conversations that happened here and how people work through them as a council. And with input from the home education community who came, the public people that are here. I think that's really helpful and healthy. To have these kinds of conversations, as difficult as they may be, in order to stay true to the course of our council. So I appreciate today, even though I'm sure it was tough. And people may have felt under fire or those things, I don't believe that's the intention of the people that are reminding us of our duties.
No agenda for a non-public session. Does anybody move to adjourn?
I do. A second. We just take the vote.
Take a vote to adjourn?
Don't we?
No.
I don't get to just adjourn?
No.
No.
That's what this is for, right?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, there it is. Your first one and done, baby.
Right.
Well done, sir. Okay. All right.
Tim, can you, do you automatically send a copy
Okay.
of the videos?
Yeah. So I'm gonna end recording.
So good to see you guys.
Nice to see you. Merry